Let's delve into these unexpected fears and the reasons behind them. 1. Superficial connections. INFJs value deep and meaningful relationships, so the thought of superficial or insincere connections can be terrifying to them. They fear engaging in conversations or relationships that lack authenticity. 2. Public speaking. Despite their eloquence in writing, many INFJs find public speaking daunting. The idea of being in the spotlight and addressing a large audience can trigger anxiety. 3. Betrayal by a loved one. INFJs invest a lot in their relationships, and the fear of being betrayed by someone they deeply care about can be a source of immense distress. 4. Feeling misunderstood. Being misunderstood or not being able to express their thoughts and feelings accurately is a recurring fear for INFJs. They often wrestle with the fear of not being able to convey their true selves to others. 5. Conflict and confrontation. INFJs are peace-loving individuals who avoid conflict and confrontation whenever possible. The idea of having to engage in a heated argument or confrontation can be frightening for them. Conflict and confrontation can be particularly distressing for INFJs. While they are often portrayed as calm and composed individuals, they harbor a deep-seated fear of conflict and heated confrontations. Let's delve into why this aspect can be particularly unsettling for them. Peace-loving nature. One of the core traits of INFJs is their strong desire for harmony and peace. They value peaceful and supportive relationships, and conflict disrupts this sense of equilibrium. The fear of conflict arises from their desire to maintain a tranquil and positive environment. Emotional sensitivity. INFJs are highly attuned to emotions, both their own and those of others. They can easily absorb the emotions of those around them. Confrontations can be emotionally charged and intense, making them overwhelming for an INFJ. They fear the emotional toll that conflicts can take on them. Aversion to hurting others. INFJs have a deep-seated aversion to hurting or upsetting others. They genuinely care about people's feelings and well-being, and the prospect of engaging in a confrontational situation where someone may be hurt is deeply troubling for them. Overthinking and rumination. INFJs are prone to overthinking and rumination. Conflict can lead to a cycle of obsessive thoughts and self-doubt, causing them to question their actions and intentions. They fear the mental turmoil that can follow a confrontation. Striving for resolution. Rather than dwelling on conflicts, INFJs are inclined to seek resolutions and find common ground. They fear that a confrontation may escalate without achieving a constructive solution, leaving everyone involved in a state of emotional unrest. Tension and discord. The presence of conflict creates an atmosphere of tension and discord, which is contrary to an INFJ's ideal social environment. They thrive in environments where people are understanding, compassionate, and cooperative, and they fear the disruption that conflicts can introduce. Perceived criticism. During confrontations, INFJs may perceive criticism or rejection, even if it's not intended. Their sensitivity to others' emotions can lead to an exaggerated sense of personal responsibility and guilt, further intensifying their fear of confrontation. Impact on relationships. INFJs deeply value their relationships, and they fear that conflict can erode or damage these connections. They often go to great lengths to avoid confrontations that could jeopardize the bonds they cherish. Fear of hurting themselves. In addition to their concern for others, INFJs fear that confrontations might hurt them personally. They can feel vulnerable and exposed during conflicts, and the potential for emotional wounds can be alarming. Striving for ideal communication. INFJs aspire to have meaningful and ideal communication. They fear that confrontations can lead to misunderstandings, miscommunication, or damaged relationships, which goes against their vision of clear and compassionate interactions. The fear of conflict and confrontation for an INFJ is rooted in their deep-seated desire for harmony, their emotional sensitivity, and their aversion to hurting others. While they may face and navigate confrontations when necessary, it's a fear they grapple with, as they prefer to maintain the peace and well-being of those around them. 6. Overwhelming crowds. While they may enjoy socializing in smaller groups, large, overwhelming crowds can be terrifying for many INFJs. They can find it hard to cope with the sensory overload and lack of personal space. 7. Loss of autonomy. INFJs highly value their independence and autonomy. They fear situations where they might lose control over their own decisions and life choices. 8. Being taken advantage of. The fear of being taken advantage of or being manipulated by others is a significant concern for INFJs. They can be deeply troubled by situations where they feel they are being used. 9. Shallow conversations. INFJs thrive on deep and meaningful discussions. Superficial or small talk can be genuinely terrifying to them, as it feels like a waste of time and energy. 10. Feeling helpless. INFJs often have a strong desire to help others and make a positive impact. Feeling helpless or unable to assist someone in need can be a profound fear for them. 11. Abandonment. INFJs fear being abandoned by the people they care about. The idea of losing their support system can be a source of significant anxiety. 12. Loneliness. While they appreciate solitude, chronic or forced isolation can terrify an INFJ. They need meaningful connections and fear becoming isolated from the world. 13. Uncertainty about the future. INFJs often like to have a sense of direction and purpose. Uncertainty about the future or a lack of clarity in their life path can be unsettling. 14. Feeling inauthentic. The fear of not living in alignment with their authentic selves can be a constant source of anxiety for INFJs. They strive for authenticity in every aspect of their lives. 15. Losing loved ones. The thought of losing someone they deeply love and care about can be a paralyzing fear for INFJs. They cherish their close relationships and dread the idea of losing them. The fear of losing loved ones is a profound and universal fear, but it can be especially overwhelming for INFJs due to their deep emotional connections and intense relationships. Let's explore why losing loved ones is such a potent fear for INFJs. Depth of emotional bonds. INFJs form connections that run deep. Their relationships are characterized by emotional intensity and a strong sense of empathy. Losing someone they are emotionally connected to can feel like losing a part of themselves. Empathetic nature. INFJs often feel the emotions of others as if they were their own. When a loved one is going through a difficult time, the INFJ shares in their pain and anguish. The fear of losing a loved one brings the prospect of enduring this emotional turmoil. Investment in relationships. INFJs invest a great deal of time and emotional energy in their relationships. They nurture and cherish these bonds, and the thought of losing someone they've invested so much in is heartbreaking. Fearing the void. The absence of a loved one leaves a void that can be challenging for INFJs to fill. They fear the emptiness and the silence that follows the loss, as it reminds them of the absence of someone who was integral to their life. 16. Injustice and inequality. INFJs have a strong sense of justice and fairness. Witnessing or experiencing injustice and inequality can be emotionally distressing for them. 17. Negative criticism. INFJs are sensitive to criticism, especially when it is harsh or unfounded. The fear of receiving negative criticism can impact their self-esteem and well-being. 18. Feeling overwhelmed by responsibilities. Balancing their numerous responsibilities and commitments can be overwhelming for INFJs. The fear of not being able to meet all their obligations can be distressing. 19. Losing creativity. INFJs are often creative individuals. The fear of losing their creative spark or being in a situation that stifles their creativity can be deeply troubling. 20. Failing to fulfill their purpose. INFJs often feel a strong sense of purpose in life. The fear of not being able to fulfill their purpose or make a meaningful impact on the world can be one of their most profound fears. In summary, while INFJs may appear composed and collected, they have their own set of fears, many of which revolve around their need for deep connections, authenticity, and making a positive impact on the world. Understanding these surprising fears can provide insights into the complex inner world of an INFJ.